Siyalocha kule narha.
Hola familia.
Happy days.
Happy day.
Happy days on podcast.
It's a happy day to have a good day.
It's Happy Days on podcast. The name is Rich, and thank you so much for joining us. And today I'm having a special guest. Okay, special for me. Yeah, right. It's King David Mashabela. How are you, my brother? Right.
Ngi special.
Yeah, special.
Ngi special plan.
I understand your favorite star is the Seven Stars.
It's
strategy.
I know where you
fascinating.
I know where you read it. It's the Pleiades. I know where you read it. Yeah, it's the Pleiades and it's a Seven Sisters. Some call it.
Seven Sisters. Yes.
Yeah, but you probably read it recently, but it was written 10 years ago.
Is it because it's one of the stars that are close to Earth? That is why you actually.
I observe a lot of things that happen in the universe. I always say people don't look up enough, and I look, for some reason, I don't know why I'm fascinated by things that happen in the universe, the formation of the stars, things like that. So as a result, I fell in love with, as I was reading up on these things, watching lots of videos, I fell in love with these Pleiades. These are cool and interesting. There's a security company called that. I just fell in love with their formation. I fell in love with their bright. They're not too far from Earth. You can see them from Earth. All of that stuff. You can see the group from Earth. So it's things like that made me fall in love with this stuff.
And then also what interests me is knowing that your role model is the man in the mirror. It's just fascinating. Everything about it. But why you so much interested in you than any other person?
It's not interested in me. Is if you are your biggest competitor, your biggest challenge, because you're the one that has to motivate yourself to wake up in the morning. You're the one that has to motivate yourself to do something. You're the one that says, "Nkatel," but hey, I have to go and try that. Most, if not all, those decisions are based on your own mind. You are the one that has to say, "Ekdala nhlezi." For you to eat, it has to be your own effort. Even people who steal, they have to make an effort. So it's not, so that's why I say it's not me interested in me. It's me knowing that without my action, there'll be very little benefit. So I have to make an effort to achieve or to do even the smallest of things. To wear clean clothes, it should be your effort. Unless you're saying, no, mfazi uzongisotela out. But even lo mfazi lo uwo umtholi. So in essence, the effort always starts with the person, with the individual. In any formation, even in this office we're in, somebody had to say, yes, and let me make the first step and the second step, and things grow from there. So the simple answer is, I feel if we don't acknowledge that we are the reason that we achieve the things we do, it's very easy for us to blame someone, to blame my teacher at primary, but reality of it is, it's all you. Everything is all you.
That's true.
Yeah.
No, man, but it last year, mina now, ngathi ngenela kulo bafana ba style.
We are clash. Uyatlasha now.
And manje ungena nayo uyifakile la. Awusakhuluma nokhumula ukuthi akhe masishaye podcast ethi ngiyehenge la.
No, never. It was intentional.
Yeah, I can see.
It was intentional.
So you are a serious Sundowns fan.
I say this a lot. I was born in Mamelodi. I don't have a choice on the matter.
Okay.
Yeah, and my mom's house is literally 100 meters from the stadium.
So awusila abathi ngifavor Sundowns ngoba say grand.
No.
So we favor from.
No, yeah, it's a problem. It's a family problem.
It's a family thing, yeah.
It's a family problem. We even have a Masinga in the family. That's how much a family problem it is. So mina I can't angiclaim Sundowns. Ngibuya nayo vele.
Yeah. So when you're talking about the upbringing yakho, as obviously you were not born King David Mashabela. You just David Mashabela endlini.
Yeah.
Itama lakho ne-oledi. Among us just paint a picture on your upbringing.
Yes.
Ukhula kanjani before abo rich twala baze bakulandela bakuncane.
Yeah. No, I was born in Mamelodi at a nursing home very close to Lesekel, Itenepuom. There's a nursing home there. Most kids in Mamelodi, my age, were born around in that place in the 70s. And my love for radio is really what has made a career, but it wasn't my first love. I was in love with accounting, I was in love with economics, which I studied at university. And I fell in love with radio when I was at university. That's where I met radio. I was in love with it, but ngatibana nayo when I was in Durban. And from then, you try to get gigs, you are pusher, you don't stop. And eventually, I got an opportunity to work with Durban Youth Radio, Sasentwan in Durban. Yeah. When I came back to Pretoria, I struggled to get a station. Eventually, I got one. So it's a long, tricky journey to end up on radio. But my home base is middle son. And I have an older sister, younger sister, raised by my mom. My dad passed away when I was a kid, so I don't really know him. I know him from pictures. My mom never got married, so I don't know umsindo wamadoda was. When a man at him, hey, David, I don't know that sound. I'm not familiar with it. Okay. So I was raised by my mom, who played a vital role in the person that I've become. Yeah. She allowed me to do the things that I liked, and most of them were right, were correct things. And that's really where I ended up where I am.
So when you grow up, zange nje ube not feeling ukuthi how was it like ukuthi ukhule without a father, or we'll say father figure in a way. Azange kuzoku-disturb knowing ukuthi obviously ugeleza nabanye abantu ukuthi umuntu ukutshela ngethama lakhe, ukutshela ngento ukuthi ithama lami ngenza kanje, ithama lami vange Volvo.
No, not in our times. When we were growing up, students and fellow pupils, we never spoke about that stuff. Maybe now kids do that because the dad drops you off and the dad comes and fetches you and the dad bought a new car. Then we all struggled. Our lives were pretty similar. So we related on the same level. So there's almost no conversations about my dad did this. So I never missed my dad. Okay. I didn't know what it felt to miss your dad. It was if you are born without an arm. It's not like you miss it because you've never had it. So for me, it was never that at all. There was no association with that type of feeling. But it only happened years later when I look back. Maybe this, my life would have turned out differently and things like that. But I'm okay with the way things turned out. Frankly, I'm not regretful of anything that's happened. However, you never know how a presence of a dad would have done to my life. Yeah. Who knows? You would have spoiled me and I would be useless. Anything is possible.
Yeah. So ugeleza khona vele
Imams, Mamelodi. Primary, high school, Mamelodi. Went to university in Durban. So I was never in class with like these young kids today who are with white kids in class. We didn't have those experiences. It was township school from beginning to end. Yeah. So, Malogu develop, and then you actually spoke about what interests me, the love for radio. Yeah. Because we all love radio. The reason why I've ever even have podcasts is because of, you always, I think it haunts you. Yeah. The feeling of being in front of the microphone, it always haunts you. Yeah. So how did you actually see with known? It was,
I know what there are ups and downs,
yes.
Obviously, let's demo TDK.
Yes.
But I remember my experience. I gave NSPLA my TDK of a show I was doing in Fantasizer.
Yes. Yeah. What did he say?
Yeah, NSPLA blind. Hey, namanje angikhohlwa enesiphile Bob Mapen ukuthi bengithanda ukuthini khona into bengithanda nje ukuthi but why are you saying that you know
At least they listened to it.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
were like
they
you were
listened to
lucky that they listened. So it was your fault.
yeah well into leyo ukuthi hi I'm Rich Twala but why Rich Twala why was it? I'm Rich Twala just like that.
Yes.
So what were you experiencing your challenges before you actually even started to be on air?
No, look, radio. The first year I was on radio, I always used to say I started in 1993, but I started in November of 1993.
Oh, okay.
So the whole year I was hoping to be on radio in Durban at school, a community radio, a campus-based radio station. However, the station manager didn't think I was any good. So I would keep going to him, asking him to give me a chance. I didn't have the privilege of a demo tape then. Campus radio. Okay. I didn't have the privilege of a demo tape, but at least he was a student. I could see him on campus all the time. His name is Rata. He was a government official in Northwest at some point. I kept on persisting and asking him, and fortunately we lived in the same apartment building as Gail. So I would ask him for this opportunity. He said no. He only said yes during exams when there were no DJs. They were all writing exams. Okay. And he said, oh, there's a gap. I remember my first show, there was no one listening. It was in the canteen because people were studying. So, but I still did a show in November. And that was literally my first radio show. So and the following year, he gave... Absolutely. And the following year, he gave me, small shows. And I grew, my profile grew to a point where my final year, that's where Durban Youth Radio came about. And they came to our university, asked for some DJs.
The very same Gagas FM.
No. Gagas is commercial. Durban was community radio. Yeah, Durban Youth Radio was community-based radio station. It was the early days of community radio stations.
1994.
Absolutely, yes. I was on Durban Youth Radio in 95.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then obviously developed to something else.
No, actually, developed to nothing. Developed to absolutely nothing. Okay. I finished my degree, my junior degree, came back to Pretoria, looked for, there was TUT, at the time it was actually TNT in Soshanguve. They had a really well-oiled radio community, but not community-based. They had a campus-based radio station, but that had a license. So that was broadcasting in the broader part of Soshanguve. And I went there and I asked, Greg Maloka was station manager then. Okay. There were a number of people who... No, they were, but he was in Tuanana, he was at varsity. Yeah, there were a lot of great guys who ended up, some not on radio, but became executives in their own right. And I wasn't good enough for him. So that's why I say, yes, that's why I say it wasn't as easy as it sounds.
Yeah, but if you can check for a whole lot of us, because I remember with Kabzela, YFM was still at Bedrams. And then Ngamkapayan's audition and...
he didn't get the gig.
No,
not good enough.
But it ended up Bamlanda Kubo.
Wow,
So
there you go.
See now,
yes.
How things turned out.
I wish my story was like that. Nobody came to fetch me.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
I kept on trying.
Because he was very good. We were working with him at Joseph FM.
Yeah.
He was all there at Joseph FM. And we felt like Mangi YFM was on touch just like that. But at that time, like abantu petty station at the time, they were like, no.
Not good enough.
Yeah,
no, with me, we ended up studying a Mamelodi FM or Mams FM at the time. Because we wanted to be on radio, we couldn't. And there were a number of us, actually.
Might as well start mine.
We started our own community radio. We struggled to get a license. I remember we got a week-long license, which I didn't agree with as part of the committee. So I was never on air during that time.
Like a mod broadcast.
But there was something about it because we got a license and a week-long or so a license. It was broadcasting in Mamelodi. But people didn't know about it, so it didn't have a lot of audiences, I imagine. And that was not even my first break. My first break on radio after university was Metro FM.
Okay, and
years later,
not as a producer.
As a producer for breakfast show. Okay. Yeah.
And do you remember who was the presenter at that time?
Oh, absolutely. It was just Ice. I worked with Ice. I worked with Ice for 3 years. For 3 or 4 years or so. Yeah, we were together for a while.
Sometimes ngiyasibuza ukuthi I wonder kunjani ukusipana no-Ice. U-Ice namanye ereleni unocabanga ngathi uyacimeza makakhuluma.
No, I'll tell you one thing. He's the hardest working radio presenter you'll ever meet, irrespective of which show he does. And that's why he sounds like the most knowledgeable person you've ever met, because there's no one who prepares a radio show like Just Ice. Even I don't come close to that man. He's ridiculous. He used to rock up at 3 a.m. to present a breakfast show that started at 6. That was Ice. When other people come running at 5 to 6, and he's been there for 3 hours.
I remember when I was telling Bamo Johnson to say, my brother, we always talk. He says, I'm saying to him, okay, can you please furnish me with my numbers?
Eyes.
David Mashabela.
Oh, me?
Yeah. And he was like, when now you think your podcast is something, so interview with Mashabela.
But I'm a regular guy, man. I'm a regular guy, man. There's nothing special about me.
So you started to producing, and then
Just Ice, yeah.
And then it became, for how
Yes.
long?
Jeez, I was a producer for 6-7 years at Metro, but with Ice for 3 years or so. And then Ice left and he was not with Metro anymore. I then worked with, who did I work with? With Azania.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Afternoon Drive.
Okay.
Yes. She was brought in as a newbie, and they said, try to see if we can work. I can train her, and that's what we did. We worked together.
So Ubane wa Kasha, do you remember?
Romeo.
Oh, Kumalo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Romeo Kumalo hired me.
They were my producer.
No. Actually not. He looked for me. Actually, no, he didn't look for me.
Headhunted.
Well, technically, because of what I was doing at the time.
Yeah.
Because of there's nothing special about it.
There is.
I was working for a newspaper. I was writing
For City Press.
City Press about radio. So
okay.
I didn't realize that he was reading those articles, and he read it. He read one of them. I had written about Metro, but nothing critical. I was saying something to the effect, Yoguti, I can see what they're doing, they're building. It's when they made that big change, Yabo, Kranchakwane,
So
and then they introduced new guys.
It wasn't Metro FM, it was Radio Metro.
No, it was Metro FM.
It was Metro.
Romeo made
Yeah,
Metro FM, yeah.
Okay.
And he then called me, and we spoke about the article, we spoke about what he was doing.
Okay.
And 2-3 months later, he called up again and asked if I could make a contribution to his station, and I asked in what form. He said he needs to think about it. He clearly liked what I used to write.
Yeah.
And the call-up eventually was...
the excitement there.
Yeah, but did you know if you've wanted something for so long... No, interesting actually. My perspective about it is very different. I appreciate it, I enjoy it, but I pray for things, I see things in my future. When they come, I'm not surprised because I wanted them. You know, why
because everyone will say, getting a call from Metro FM, any producer or any program manager, Metro FM, you'll be excited.
Look, the first call from Romeo meant something. I remember I was on holiday with my friends. Yes, I was with my friends in Durban, and he called, and that call meant a lot, and it started continuous conversations, and one of those conversations was what do you think you can help us with here on the station? And I said, I'm not sure. Do you have a show? And he said, no, not as a presenter.
We were interested in
remember, that was my first love. I didn't even know about producers and what they did. I didn't have a clue what producers did.
But no, on air.
Yeah, he said, can you produce? I said, I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. What do producers do?
What is it?
And then that started our relationship with the station. And it was long. I was there for 7 years.
Oh.
I was with Metro for 7 years.
So you never presented on Metro?
No, I did. I did 2 shows. No, none of that. None of that. I did 2 shows. The first time I was on air on Metro, I was on a breakfast show.
Oh.
Yeah, we had created this stunt that Just Ice is a foreign national from Mozambique, and We asked some security guards to come and arrest him while he was on air.
Oh, I remember.
And then they came and somebody had to continue the show.
The
So
Tish Mattel's times.
yeah, those times.
Yeah.
Then I carried on. I presented the show.
Okay.
So I presented Just Ice's last hour of the breakfast show.
Yeah.
That was the first time I was ever on Metro.
Okay. So your knowledge in advertising and marketing,
Yeah.
was it after, obviously, you have your share in being a presenter? at that
No,
time?
it was before.
Oh, it was before.
I worked for an ad agency before.
Okay.
I
Oh,
joined
okay.
Metro. Romeo found me working for an ad
Yeah,
agency.
yeah,
After driving a taxi in Mamelodi,
Oh, you also drove it.
I drove a taxi for 2 years.
You're more like Cab Sailor, man. Yeah?
I drove a taxi for 2 years, and a cousin of mine told me of a job opportunity at ABSA. I then, because you asked
Yeah.
so I then took up that job, not realizing that as a taxi driver, I was earning more money than ABSA. But I decided to take up that job. While I was at ABSA, I studied marketing and advertising with Damelin. And while I was doing that, I remember being having a taxi from Mamelodi, train from Mamelodi to town and to work. After that, I would walk to Damelin. From Damelin, I would catch a train back to Mamelodi. And it was a thing I did every day for like almost 2 years.
Yeah.
And eventually, I finished that qualification in advertising. I added it on my CV. And I started looking for work in advertising and marketing, and I got a job at rather Saatchi & Saatchi Advertising. Here down the road in Sandton. Yeah. I worked for them for 4 years. While I was at that advertising agency,
Science and
all of that. Yeah. I would write articles for City Press.
Okay.
While I was
Whilst
doing
you
that,
Saatchi &
yeah.
Saatchi.
So Romeo spotted me while I was in advertising already.
Okay.
Yeah.
You. So, Ijeni yakho advertising, what would you really like say you remember much? You know,
Everything, because I started a
because I
company.
remember on SABC as it is, you were working with different shows and different stations.
Absolutely.
And you were also involved in languages.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And then nguzwa makhulumela ngudala ebhani ngathi cha isiZulu.
Angisazi at all.
Ngizongeke bakuchashe ukhoze FM.
No, not at all. My ngulubi ngonela ngiyayizwa.
Yeah. Ngichaza ngiyangaka. Kusigamanzi awuthi yami. Saphuza namavati nje sibe great.
Yabo.
Yeah, ingulube noma ignore.
Ngizwa kahle uthi hale uyabheda lo. Ngoba mawuseThekwini iZulu at the time in 93 people were not speaking Zulu, rather Sotho.
Okay.
Even in Durban. So mawukhuluma iZulu rather Sotho about at the time no one could hear you. So you had to learn very quickly, and I learned how to speak Zulu, but my accent is still terrible. I still sound like it's not my language. I still sound like I'm from Pretoria.
Did Casper Nyovest buy 2-part shoot and toss Biliato shoot? Scoop written by Shingai Tarangwa. Hola familia, es Wakarota Zeta, and I know that you know what time it is. If you're new to the channel, welcome to Ozanazo. But if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back, and let's get into it. On Thursday, Amapiano Star Toast was announced as the first ever brand ambassador of Casper Nyovest popular liquor brand Biliato, a taste of wealth. In announcing Toast as the brand new ambassador, Nyovest posted a selfie of images of Toast bedazzled with jewelry in an empty bathtub. However, attention quickly switched from announcement to how Nyovest and his team apparently used the exact concept as one of Tupac's most famous photo shoots with American photographer David LaChapelle. I mean, people went crazy on Twitter and Instagram for Casper Nyovest for not crediting the original inspiration.
If you're gonna recreate something, at least credit the original photographer, David LaChapelle. Recreating a credited body of work without acknowledging the author is plagiarism, and it's in bad taste if you do it for commercial gain. If he really had a serious team, someone should have pointed it out to him. Basic copyright laws.
And another well-known local photographer named Cyril Zuma commented on Casper's original post.
I think that's a bit harsh, because content is now a variation of many things that have been done before. Did he copy it to the T? Yes, and it was well executed.
But then, a few hours later, Casper Nyovesa took to his Instagram stories to congratulate Toss and credit La Chapelle for the inspiration.
Thank you so much for joining the team. I'm so excited to be working with you, he said. I think you are a pop icon. I think you are a moment in culture that will never be forgotten. I directed the shoot. It was a David LaChapelle inspired shoot that he did with Pac back in the 90s. And who else to do it but Toss? Welcome to the Biliato family, a taste of wealth.
Yeah, ne? Good hectic. But anyways, wena. I mean, yeah, you. Utini. Do you agree with the majority? Uguti he should have credited La Chapelle from the beginning, nje. Noma wena uti content is content. And it's okay to recreate things the very same way they have been done before. Bona, comment down below. I'm really interested in what you have to say. I bet you guys, Eswakarota Zayda and I'm gonna sign it out right here.
It's Happy Days on Podcast. The name is Rich, and thank you so much. So I wanted to also talk about the advertising as it is in South Africa, especially on media. Let's say electronic advertising, marketing. What do you think where do you think the country is right now?
What do you mean electronic advertising?
Because amanyama advert on radio, they don't necessarily make a whole lot of sense. It's just that I want like pinpoint as to which product are that. But what do you think advertising standards are as it is in South Africa, especially with radio and TV?
No, I think our standards has always been great. We are amongst the most creative countries in the world when it comes to advertising. Similar to Argentina and Brazil, our creative content is great. But remember, don't confuse great advertising with creative advertising. They achieve two different goals. Yeah. Some ads are created to win luri, some ads are created to sell products. Based on some of the basic realities of our country, where the economy struggles, however, the industry of advertising still able to make money. Radio stations still able to make money from advertising. Newspapers, believe it or not, still make money from advertising. So the industry is still a busy industry, not as profitable as it probably used to be in the past.
One would say it's still monopolized, though.
By whom?
Yeah, I mean, your big advertising agencies.
Yeah,
they're actually getting more share,
Yeah, but there's a lot of small black agencies in the country now than when I was in advertising.
Motswako Media.
Yeah, but that's there are many. There are hundreds of them now. Okay. You can start an agency today before end of the day.
But I don't know anything about advertising.
Yeah, but
I'm just learning from you.
Yeah, but you can learn about advertising. It's not that complicated. There's schools, there's courses. You can go to Udemy. You can learn now digital advertising and digital media, which is the world that everyone is moving towards now. Social media advertising. It's called digital advertising. Actually, that's where the real competition is. And you find a lot of brand new agencies, kids that started when they were at university. And they said, let's represent this brand, and they proposed to this brand, and the brand liked what they did, and they started becoming a digital agency for. So that there's a huge shift between traditional advertising and digital marketing and digital advertising, where 100 rands that used to go to radio, TV, and billboards, newspapers, and magazines. Now there's a new guy that takes part of that money, and that guy is digital marketing. It's your websites, newspaper platform, or that what in Abo News 24, Daily Maverick, online advertising, and also platforms like this one. YouTube takes a lot of the cake. Twitter and Instagram takes a lot of the advertising money. So the world has changed a lot now. Yeah, absolutely.
The reason why I want to talk more about that, because I'm fun with Happy Days by Rob.
Yeah, no, of course. But it's not I think you can learn about it, man. And now we live in a world where you spend 2 days watching content on a particular subject, and you end up becoming, you threaten even experts on the subject.
I have been told by producer Uguti, inviting David Mashabela is not necessarily about just doing a show with him. To me, it's learning, you know, because when I was like reading a lot or doing my own research about you, I just felt, Uguti, this guy, I mean, really, you know, the Mashabela creatives, surely,
I've been running Mashabela Creatives for 15 years almost now, so we've done a lot of projects with a lot of companies, government departments. We've at some point I had 14 full-time employees, and different times, different revenue streams. And to a point where you end up having to retrench employees, which is what has happened in the past 4 years or so. So it's the reality of business, like any other business. It has its ups and its downs.
COVID,
Yeah, but I wouldn't blame COVID too much because.
But you will blame ESCOM.
No. I've never had electricity problems.
Okay. I heard that. That you actually had your solar panels a long time ago.
Yeah.
Before the problems with our
we installed solar 8-9 years ago. So
you didn't even know what you're investing on.
I was very much aware.
Oh, you were.
Because that's the beginning of load shedding.
Yeah.
And we knew immediately that load shedding. At the time, it was new, and we didn't want to have it as a problem. And I just decided, let me invest in this thing. Because remember, if you're making money as a business, the worst thing you can ever do is waste that money. So you reinvest it back in the business. And one of those things was putting solar panels on the roof of our office. And we've been in that office now for 12 years now.
So exclusively as it is now, you're not having problems?
No. So I have problems when I drive around the streets, but not when I'm at the office. So we notice a blink. We have a tiny blink that means it's moving to our batteries. Yeah. It's literally a millisecond. We can see that load shedding.
Let's go back to your slot. Not this one that you're doing right now. I remember you've done a evening slot.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember.
One night stand with the King. Yes.
You know, at the time you were on air, I was driving back from ENCA to home. In fact, it was not ENCA, it was ETV. We were producing Sunrise. Remember that program?
Yes, I know it well.
Yeah, so we're producing in the evening. So I will go back, sing driver back, and then listening to you. Because why? There was a particular segment, a slot in Sako, where you feature someone to play music. I think it was on Fridays, where you feature someone or celebrate or your friend. Let's compete, and then people will just say, I
still do that even now.
Yeah, you still do.
I had Simpiwe Dana yesterday.
Yeah, I remember you still do.
Yes.
But taking us back on that particular radio slot, how did it came about? And then I'm sure it must have been a slot against the logo to recognize.
How did it come about? I begged, pleaded, and prayed. And I asked when they changed lineups, they must remember me. And eventually they said, are you sure you're ready for this? It took a while. It took 2 years of every time I saw my station manager, I would tell her that I'm ready.
So you were working?
I was doing weekend.
Oh, you were doing weekend.
I was doing weekend. I was doing a show I used to call A Ton of Fun. Okay. It was between 6 and 9 in the evening on Saturdays. And during that, I asked that I'm ready for daytime. And they said, which show? I said, anyone, but I'll do the night just to get ready for daytime. And eventually, I got that show. It took a while, though. It wasn't overnight. It took 2 years. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I loved it. A part of me still misses it. Yeah. But it's tricky to have a girlfriend if you're doing nighttime radio. Every night. Every night.
SABC.
Yeah, every night you're not home. It's a tricky show to do. Yeah, but I enjoyed it. It was a special time for my radio career. Because I got to hone my skills, to define the type of radio that I wanted to do. Do you know when you're playing good reserve team, you get to perfect your skill, and you play every day. You get to perfect your skill, and I got to a point where I knew exactly the type of radio that I wanted to do, even if I was moved to daytime or whichever show. So that's really what happened. I used to call it a one night stand with the king.
Yeah.
And the program manager said, no.
Yeah, I had a problem with that.
Swanlesu said a stand.
Yeah, the stand.
I didn't realize.
One night with the king.
I didn't realize stand was a swear word.
Yeah.
Since when did stand become a bad name?
No. I was so uncomfortable when you say
one night stand.
Yeah, we would say one night stand.
But
just paint a picture with the It
was one night stand with the king, and then we changed it to one night with the king, based on a song. It's a gospel song called One Night with the King.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Because the lineup currently, I'm telling you, it's a killer lineup.
Yeah.
Where you have, I won't talk much about Ubongani. I don't listen at that time, but listening to Ndombi, and then you, and then Louis. And then you have one day kushuta amanye ama-reels
kuno mapasek after that kuno just ice after that.
So the current radio slot, are you aware listenership?
No, because it changes so often, and I know that the latest figures just came out. I don't know currently where we're sitting. However, I'll tell you this much: the station as a whole has grown in leaps and bounds, particularly since 2020. Okay. We've seen a growth from 800,000 to even 2 million. So the station has grown quite a lot. It's a collective effort because radio is not individual shows. You rely on the last show for that audience, for that show to bring you that audience, and the next show relies on you to keep that audience so you can hand them over to the next show. But so the effort is continuous.
Sometimes I will be shocked to go to, I won't be shocked now, because you know why? You know, radio is theater of the mind.
Yeah.
And then obviously you actually take your your listeners in, like your friends, because I actually hear that more often, especially when you're wrapping up the show. Thanks, guys, for I'm nothing without you. So you actually made me feel I'm part of this whole thing. The project. So how do you really sometimes feel? How to explain or the very criticizing program managers, the previous ones. Are you ready?
No, my relationship with my radio show is very different. And I got this from Just Ice, working with him. The job makes people love you, in inverted commas, or hate you for that matter, because nobody likes you. The job makes you famous, in inverted commas, where people want to take pictures with you. I still don't know what they do with those pictures, but they take them. But it's still a job that you have to do, and it's still a job that you have to do really well. It's still a job that you still have to be worried about. It has to concern you that you're doing a good job. So it's a job for me before it becomes this world of people recognizing you when they meet you, and as you call it, people love you. So I'm more worried about retaining the quality of the show. That's what worries me the most. What it does to people individually, one, I'll never know. I only see it when I go DJ at different places. People's reaction to this guy. Yeah. But what I've done with my life is, there's a guy called King David and there's David Mashabela. The King David guy is on the radio. David Mashabela goes home every day. Yes, exactly. So I'm able to disassociate myself. Okay. That's why till today I get surprised when people recognize me. I sometimes think maybe ngakwazi and namkhohliwe and I feel bad. No. So that association is still not
aware of the impact that you actually do in people's lives.
Not entirely. Let me put it that way. I sometimes recognize it, but I don't wear it on my back and carry it with me all the time. I still get surprised by it. To be honest, I don't know what it is. And because I do a show one or with a producer in the studio, I don't see people. So as a result, I don't realize the impact.
Yeah.
I see it when I'm at shows, when I DJ, and people are happy that I'm there. It's like, hey, Labantu, it's just me. Umsuzo wami uyanuka. I'm a regular guy. And what do they like? Yes. You see, so, but I understand. I got to understand it slowly over time, but it still doesn't click yet.
So you also do DJ?
I play a lot,
on
yeah.
venues.
Yeah, I play a lot.
Yeah.
Almost every second or every weekend I'm DJing, yeah.
Silaki nje ukuthi uthole namhlanje ungadlali.
It's mid-month. South Africans' money is very predictable.
Okay.
Yeah, it's mid-month. Mid-month, there's not a lot of spending. So people spend their monies my month end. That's where a lot of people who book me would book me. I have bookings all the way to what, even June. I have bookings all the way to June already. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk more about the Mashabela Creatives. How did it started, and what's your dream about it?
Yeah.
Moving forward. Because I see you've done a whole lot of, I see the McG's of this world, you know, they are relying on you in terms of studios.
Yeah.
You can't be setting up this time. You need to have a permanent studio. And I said it to the team, in fact, they will remember this.
Yeah.
Guys, I don't want Mashabela figure in set up.
Oh, you said it?
Yeah, I said it. You know, not that I knew which was OT,
yes.
but I know what you are in the very same space.
Yeah.
So, Namong on Vita, I want to see isn't the spot.
That's true.
Yeah.
No, Mashabela Creatives as a business started. Geez, let me think. It started with one project.
Okay.
Mike Gilman, who used to be a presenter on 5FM, had a show, Smirnoff Dance Show, a pre-recorded dance show. Claire Mawesa and Fistas Mixwell were the presenters of that show.
Okay.
It had mixes from different DJs, and Abu Claire would back announce those songs, but it was pre-recorded. I had to go into studio, record them, and then play it on Metro FM. They got that gig, Abu Mike Gilman, and to them it was a small job.
Okay.
And they asked if I could do it, and they would pay me. And I started doing that. It lasted for 2 years.
Oh.
Now I had this nice extra income, and I thought maybe I should invest more into this project. I started looking for equipment. Tibos Mukweli had a studio set up at his house, and he turns out he wasn't using it as much as he thought he would when he built it. So I asked him to borrow me the studio. He said, no, I'll sell it to you. I said, but I don't have money. He said, no, take it and pay me until you're done.
Yeah.
So I took the equipment. Within 2 months, I had paid up based on the contract they spin off. And that was the beginning of Mashabela Creatives. I used to work in my little townhouse, a room, literally a quarter of this room. I would mix those shows and send them and put them on CD. Then we used to playing a CD. I would take to SABC, I would play them, and I got paid. And slowly I realized that I can do this as a business. And I decided to take a company registration that I had done many, many years earlier. I then decided to take it serious and turned it into Mashabela Creatives. And we started doing radio ads as a business.
Yeah, I was about to ask what exactly that you guys do.
No, it was radio advertising at the time. We would come up with concepts for radio competitions, and we would record radio ads. And those radio ads, one of my clients, a big client, was Lotto, Utingo. When the Lotto was starting, Tata Machans, Tata Mamelian. Yes, I used to record those ads many years ago. So that was the beginning of the business, Mashabela Creatives. I then started renting space at the SABC. There's a lot of studio space at the SABC, so I asked to rent one of the studios, and that's where I would record those ads. Utingo moved to SABC.
But how do you get clients?
You beg, you knock, you pray, you call.
You pray.
What else do you do? You call, you put together proposals, you ask for presentation opportunities, you present what you can do.
So it's not as easy as people think.
No, not at all actually. And when I always say, abantu bane surname, and when they lose the surname, they lose a lot. David Mashabela was with Metro FM. Once you lose that, you're just David Mashabela. Yes. Those surnames, when you lose those surnames, it changes your opportunities as well, because people like to associate themselves with certain people and certain brands. Mautu David Mashabela was a Metro FM. There's something about David Mashabela. Metro. You're no longer as, your level is not as high as it used to be. Yeah, but that's why people use former. But umuntu kudala wahamba as a director general, department of and he still uses former director general because the former in the credibility. I was there.
But at least I was there.
Exactly. So that's why getting work is not easy, Otiam. I'll tell you. I put together today in the morning. I was working on a proposal. That's what I do. I fortunately enjoy it. It's not something that bothers me, so I do it very easily for me. And I still do that. I still look for work. I still knock on opportunities from every opportunity that I can get. When we came up with a concept that ended up becoming a TV show called Telkom Monate Vibes, it came about because of a proposal that I put together, and I pitched it to everybody from Avbob to MTN to Metropolitan, you name them, I pitched to them. Vodacom, and they all said no, and Telkom said we like it, and it became a TV show on SABC1. So I still put proposals together, like everybody else. Yeah.
So obviously your show on YouTube is also part of the Mashabela tree.
Yeah. It's part of the business. Yeah.
Yeah, and you call it Mashabela.
It's the King David podcast, or what do I call it? King David Studio.
King Mashabela Studio.
Yes. But it's a part of the business. Everything I do is a part of the business. My DJ gigs are built through the business.
Do you remember one interview that you did especially on podcast, that stands out? I know obviously you might love all of them. But one interview this was a nice one.
They all feel different. My drive
I'll
here.
tell you mine.
It's fine. We'll get to that. My drive here, I was having a chat with the producer of the show. She was asking about how yesterday's show went. I was recording last night.
Oh, yeah.
Umemu Nambita.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So
I saw that.
Yeah. So we're doing that interview. So I thought it was great. It always feels great doing these conversations because you learn new lessons from every single one. But to answer you directly, there are two interviews that stand out. One is because it was the first one.
Okay.
Ubabu Granshakwani. I had never met him.
Connection.
Yes, I'd never met him until that day.
Yeah.
And we became very good friends from that day onwards.
So rest in peace.
Yes.
Yeah.
Chili M was one that stood out as well.
First one.
It was one of the early ones.
That one was emotional.
That's probably another thing about it, yeah. And also it was emotional, but also very funny. There's a lot of stories that he told that were hilarious. Yeah. And those two will always stand out in my mind. There's a lot of them. I like every single one of the interviews I do, because I learn new things from every single one. But those two, they encourage the idea of the podcast, which I should keep going. I shouldn't stop.
We all have different opinion in terms of choices.
Absolutely.
Because I'm so much when you did that one of Andile. Andile.
Khalisiwe, yes, yeah.
And then the one that you did with Queen, what is
Sofinda.
Sofinda.
Yes.
There's a particular part where Sophie speak about happiness. That being happy all the times is not necessarily doesn't necessarily mean you don't get set. You don't have challenges in life. It's just a choice that you actually make in life.
That's
that
it.
really was, for me, I was like, wow.
You see, I like that you single out a moment in a 4-hour conversation. You single out a moment. The reason it resonates with you is because of something you're going through in your life.
Yes.
So that's why I can never have one that stands out, because my job with those interviews is to pull out the knowledge and the information from them for the audience. So different things. There are people who will pick up something that I didn't even think much of it. Look at that moment. I watched that show a few times. That's not the moment that stands out for me. It's the life that she lived in Zimbabwe and the lessons from Zimbabwe that stand out for me. You know, that the person that South Africans fell in love
Because
so
I know
much. Yeah.
people, when we were watching that interview, like, they will like wait for that moment. Ukuthi akhulume nge-out yakhe, ukuthi akasazwani nayo, and that rap song
From the sun.
the sun.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for something that is human. I mean, that touches everyone.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was really very much touched on that interview. And thanks so much for Mashabela for coming,
You're
to
welcome,
our Happy
Atiam.
Days,
Yeah.
it means a lot to a whole lot of us. The crew is very happy for, just to you for being here. So just to change the manner.
The color. What team do you support? Clearly you have problems.
Clearly, man.
What are your problems?
Unkai t-shirt.
What? No, wait. What team do you support?
T-shirt, the t-shirt lenga pants.
What team do you support?
Team. Support. Okay, this is
this
one is
it's your
for
brand.
Happy Days on podcast.
Oh yeah, it looks like
Yeah.
Yes.
You can have it.
Thank you very much.
As long as uzokhumbula mina at least I've been on Happy Days right. But now I need to come on the Royal Playground on Friday just to compete now.
We'll play.
What brings you to a situation here, vinyl? Why being a vinyl?
It's music. Well, I'll tell you. First and foremost, it's the love for music. Secondly, they are a nice decoration.
Tears. Is it Tears? The song.
No, it's not the only song I love.
But there's a song that you normally play.
I play Eyes,
Eyes,
but I play a lot of music. Remember, I do radio every day. Every day, Monday to Friday. So falling in love with music, I can never pick my favorite songs. That's hard.
Okay.
I have songs that I enjoy, but I might enjoy them this week, and next week there's a new one that I enjoy. So I could never know. When it comes to music, to a woman can woman, Tears or Eyes, I love both of them.
Okay. So you'll do that, my brother, and then more one good time at guest until you reach.
It's great. Good luck. Good luck with
Thanks,
that.
my brother.
Thank you, Tiam.
That was Happy Days on a podcast.